Hey, what's up? Um, so I'm feeling a bit off this last week or so, and I'm just gonna reconnect with my values. I Last time I did this was about a year ago, and I like to do this once a year or so. Just kind of reconnecting with my values, the things that are important to me, who I am, things of that nature. Um, Maybe I'll put this on Twitter in case someone wants to watch. All right, so I do things like this because I think it's important. Um, I think that figuring out who you are, your values, things that make you tick, uh, allows you to focus on the things in your life that are going to bring the most meaning to you and get rid of the things that don't mean much, that have less value. I got this from The Minimalist, but James Clear talks about this. A lot of self help people talk about setting up your foundational values, but the one I'm basically using now is from The Minimalist, and they have it set up between four different sections. There are foundational values, the things that you basically live your life by, and if something is off or wrong in your life, it's probably because one of those things aren't it isn't being met. And then there's the structural values, like the walls of the house, the frame of the house, and those are the things that make you you. There are surface values, basically the things that you like, and then there's imaginary values. Imaginary values are the things that you think are important, but they're not really important, and they are the things that detract you from your foundational and structural values. So we're going to go through this and figure some stuff out today and see where I'm missing, where I'm lacking, and try to have a better understanding of my goals and what I need to focus on to achieve those goals and to live a more balanced life. All right. So foundational goals. The website on The Minimalist here talk about their foundational goals. Let me pull that up real quick. Let's see if that works. Yeah. So um, people have different values overall, but everyone tends to share kind of the similar foundational values: health, relationships, creativity, growth, and contribution. Now I need to figure out if those are my foundational values. Um, these are the unshakable principles that you live your life by. So let's see. All right. So foundational values. I really do believe that health is very important, both physical and mental. Without your health, you have nothing. There's that famous quote that the the healthy man wants a million things, but the sick man only wants one thing. And it's true. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. Um, Ask anyone that lives with chronic pain. Ask anyone that lives with any uh, disability. It's everything. It's so important. Taking care of yourself mentally and physically. You can't live the life you want to unless you do that. So that's why it's probably the most important foundational value. because without that, you can't really do any of the other foundational values. Yeah. Let's get the font right. There we go. Relationships, yeah, they're important. And this is probably the one that is missing the most of my foundational values. I really don't have close friends much at all, and this is something I desperately need to work on. However, I find that the more I try to work on it, the less it works. I don't know, it's weird. So I definitely need to focus on relationships the most. Friendships, family, possible love interest, but I'm a firm believer that love comes from friendship, and that's probably why I don't date a whole lot, and I don't put myself out there much. I think it's very awkward to ask strangers on dates or find like just strangers to date on dating apps. I think it's so weird. I feel like you need to actually know someone before you want to date them instead of trying to like randomly find people. Just, I don't know. It's weird. Dating's weird, and it's not really a priority for me. But I know that in the long run, that if I want to live the life I want to live, that I would like to be in a relationship with somebody. However, I could definitely be happy enough without that. Like, I can live life to a degree that I can enjoy without having to be in a relationship, and I think that's important. That even though maybe I want to have one, it's not necessarily my goal in life to have one, and a lot of people, that might not be the case. Like, their goal in life might be to, find love or whatever. I would like that, but it's not like, if it does, okay, in other words, if it doesn't happen, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna live my life and enjoy my life regardless. But I do need more friends. I do need more close friends, confidants, people that I can trust and talk to that won't judge me. And that's, honestly, it's kind of difficult as an adult, almost middle-aged. I guess I am middle-aged now. I'll admit to being middle-aged. Being a middle-aged adult, finding friendships when you don't have established friendships, so that it's difficult. It's definitely really difficult. But it takes work, and sometimes I don't want to put in the work, and that's just me being stupid, because you have to put in the work. Okay, growth. Growth is definitely something that's very important for me. Personal growth, spiritual growth, physical growth, mental, knowledge. Growth is huge for me. Sometimes I'll even put growth before other things, and then my values will get like out of whack. Sometimes I'll like do some challenge where I'll completely forget about relationships and forget about the other core values, and yeah, growth, always learning, always trying to figure things out, being a better person, always trying to be better than the person I was the day before is growth. Being a better man, better student, better employee, better son, better friend, all those things. Contribution, I will agree with them with that as well. Contribution and work, giving back to people, helping people, feeling a part of a community, just overall helping others, monetary help, time help. Sometimes it's much easier to give $20 than it is to spend, an hour or two. And I really find that the people that spend the time for things, they're the heroes. Like, they're the people that I look up to. Not necessarily the people that give a ton of money, though those people are important too. But giving back to something bigger than yourself is basically a contribution. If you have a job that helps people, this helps a lot. I found that during the quarantine, when I wasn't working at the library, this is the one that bothered my mental health the most. I just wasn't contributing back to other individuals. I wasn't helping people as much as I was when I was working, and it really affected me mentally. I got kind of in a funk because I wasn't contributing into anybody's life and helping them with issues that they might have. As simple as like making copies for people, sending faxes for people, giving a reader's advisory to people, helping people with their computer issues at the library. These are things that give my life meaning. Regardless of how small they are, I probably need to volunteer more. I need to do more things for my family, for my friends, just contributing my time and my money. It's very important. So, but I think contributing your time is just, it's huge. It's huge. And then creativity. I don't know if creativity is a foundational value for me or not. Kind of. Because I like to do Booktube and write stuff, but I don't necessarily call that creativity. I call that more expression. Yeah, I'm gonna put expression. I just think creativity makes it seem like I'm an artist, and I don't really do art, but I do like to express myself. It's tough because I go through these stages in life where I want to talk and express everything, and then I go through stages where I don't want to talk to anybody about anything. And you get all these different messages from society about this vulnerability. You'll have one side saying, okay, it's great to be vulnerable, people like you more when you're vulnerable, and you'll be better overall mental health wise to be vulnerable. But at the same time, you get all these cultural messages saying that to be a manly man is to be one that's like more stoic and more like quiet and doesn't express himself too much, and like a good employee sometimes kind of just like follows along and doesn't really say anything against anything, and it's difficult to, there's so many cultural messages that are being told to us either implicitly or explicitly that we have to act a certain way, but then there's how we actually want to act and express ourselves. So, for example, just a very small example, I would like to talk about the story that I read that I really enjoyed on Twitter. So I want to express my love for a story. Now, I'll have this like conversation in my head. Oh, does anyone really care? Is this really like a thing that is important to you? I mean, not necessarily, but it is a form of expression. It's weird. And then you have the idea, okay, are you bothering other people? Are you being annoying? Are you not being very manly by expressing your opinions? is your opinion valid because of who you are? All these things, and it's just so silly. The core foundational value of expression should allow you to express however you want with whatever you want. And I need to get that in my head. I like that. I can make these, like a video like this right now, and it's not that big of a deal. I'm expressing myself. I am putting myself out there and talking about things that are important to me. And that's what's important. Like, what other people think and how they judge me, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them, Okay, structural values. These are the frame that holds up my values. These are very important things to me, but not necessarily my foundational values that my life should be focused on. So, very first structural value, we have to get it out of the way. Let's move this down to 16. Is reading. Reading is a huge part of my life, and it's something that I always want to do more of, and I feel like I'm not doing enough. And that's good and bad. It pushes me to read more, but also it puts an unnecessarily burden on my reading. But reading, without a doubt, is one of my most important structural values. I will sometimes take time away from other things to read. The issue sometimes with me is taking reading and putting it as a foundational value before my health and before my relationships and before my contribution and expression. Because that's when things get out of whack. If I decide that me finishing a book is more important than reaching out to a friend, and if I make that decision over and over again, then my relationship foundational value will definitely go way down. And I think this is kind of what's happened in the last 5 to 6 years, as I've made reading such a big part of my life. It has really impacted some of my foundational values, mostly relationships and a little bit of health. So I can always do better with that. Reading is very important to me. However, it should not be as important as relationships. And that's very difficult for me, because sometimes I just want to read and not talk to anybody, Structural values, more of them. Let's pull up a thing here. So this is a list of a bunch of values. I got this from Scott Jeffrey's website. So acceptance. So I'm going to go through this and see if any of these really stand out to me. Acceptance. Okay, being calm is actually very important to me. But calmness, when I get upset or I can't control myself, I get very upset with myself, and it really puts me in a bad situation. So being calm is very important to me. Just because I've struggled with being calm my entire life. And with that, we're going to put self-control. Self-control is very important to me, because I'm the type of person that will lose myself in things. I'll just lose myself in a video game, or I'll lose myself into YouTube, or I'll lose myself into Twitch or something, or I'll lose myself into reading actually. um, lose myself into a person. Sometimes my self-control is lacking so much that it hurts my foundational values. So that's very important. I need to work on that. I have done so much better with this over the last few years, though. Probably the last like 4 or 5 years. My self-control has progressively gotten better and better. I want to say just every day I've gotten better. Because that's what I try to do. I try to be a little bit better than the day before, like a 0.01% better. So self-control is really important to me. Also, I feel like honesty is really important to me. Honesty and loyalty. I want to be loyal to the people that I value in my life, and I want to be honest in everything that I do and everything that I say. And that's difficult because sometimes how I think and how I feel at the moment might not necessarily be the correct way to think and feel. And I can always change my mind in the future about how I feel and think about stuff, and that I definitely have done that. And it's one reason why I'm not a huge fan of cancel culture at the moment, though I think it's an important thing to do when people are in a position of power and they've done something horrible. I think it's important to be a whistleblower and call that out. However, I've definitely made my mistakes in the past, and I would hate for those mistakes to be known to other people, like the wide audience, and like lose relationships and jobs because of it. But in the end, you just don't be a jerk. Don't be a terrible person, and you really shouldn't have an issue about it. So I don't know, that was kind of a tangent. So I put down honesty and loyalty on that page. Okay. Careful, certainty, challenge, charity, cleanliness, exploration, expressive, fairness. Fairness is actually very important to me. I'll put fairness down. Fairness, I have a really hard time with people that aren't treated the same, and it really bothers me when somebody is mistreated or someone is talked badly about. I don't like it when people talk behind other people's backs, and it's one thing, probably the easiest thing someone can do for me to lose their friendship is to find out that they've either talked about me or talked about other people behind their back. I don't like that trait at all. It really bothers me. And it really bothers me when people get picked on, get bullied. It's very difficult for me. And that's one thing that kind of bothers me at times about, well, I guess I'm airing stuff out today. Kind of bothers me a little bit about when people make mistakes, especially with internet culture, and we point out those mistakes. I think it's okay to point out those mistakes. However, I don't think it's okay for there to be a mob mentality for everyone to say, look at this person, it's, everyone messes up, and everyone needs to grow and figure things out. And yes, they need to be talked to and held accountable for what they say, but having a ton of people just completely go off on someone is not good. Let's see here. Foresight, fortitude, freedom, fun, generosity, genius, giving, Happiness. You know, generosity. I do want to be a more generous person. Let's see. Reason, purpose, prosperity, professionalism. No. Recreation, exploration. No, exploration is actually, I'll put that out there. I really enjoy traveling and exploring. And just exploring new things, exploring new ideas. Prosperity, no, I could care less about making money. Recognition, recreation, reflective, respect. Responsibility. I would say dependability. Dependability is definitely important for me. I want people to depend on me. Self-reliance. Yeah, it's pretty important to me. And we'll put individualism as well. Oops. Yeah, individualism, being my own person, is extremely important to me, even though sometimes it's difficult to be not a part of the main culture and community. Sometimes I feel like I don't belong anywhere because I don't share all of the values that one specific community has, our tribe has. So I could never be one of those people that believes every single thing that of an ideology. I'll never be one of those people, and it's difficult sometimes because you don't feel like you belong in different like tribes. So for people that's watched my channel for a while, they know I'm religious. I'm a Christian, but I don't believe in all the things that some of the other Christians believe in. I'm a part of the science fiction community online and overall like science fiction fantasy community. However, I don't feel like I totally belong in that community. And I just have to accept that being an individual is more important than being a part of the group and a part of everybody. Sensitivity. I'm pretty sensitive. I don't think it's I think openness. I totally believe that relationships that are good relationships come from openness. Risk, sharing. Okay, let's go down a little bit here. Cleanliness, honesty. I already put that. Hope, humility. Humility is important. Improvement, independence, individuality, solitude. Solitude's pretty important. No. I guess solitude slash time to reflect is important for me. I have to think things through and not do things. Yeah. Thankful, thorough, like all these things are good things, but I don't know if they like control my life. Intelligence, intensity, contribution, it's kind of what I had above. Sustainability, teamwork, knowledge. Knowledge is important. Kindness. Kindness. If you can't do anything without kindness. All these things are mute if you don't have kindness. Openness, yes. Trustworthy. I do want to be trustworthy. And I do want to be dependable. Changes to dependable. So these are important things to me. Devotion, moderation. I want to have moderation, but I struggle sometimes. Let's put moderation. Let's put balance. Balance is pretty important to me. I have to do things in balance or I get way out of balance. Alright, we'll stop there for those values. Now let's turn to surface values. Basically things that I enjoy. Surface value. What's a surface value? I enjoy movies and TV. No, because movies and TV will get in the way of my other values. So I'm going to actually do imaginary values and surface values at the same time. Because I'm thinking that a lot of the surface values I'm going to pick aren't really values. Let's do TV and movies. Is an imaginary value. I love storytelling in general. But television and movies get in the way of my other values because I can definitely get sucked into them and it'll take away from all these other values. So, yeah. Actually, let's go even more granular. Let's do uncontrolled, unmoderated. Let's do uncontrolled watching of. And then we'll do, actually, let's set another structural value as no, I got self-control. Okay, so we're going to make the assumption that the surface values are controlled. So, unbalanced. So we're going to put TV and movies as it's a controlled. Then imaginary values is uncontrolled watching. We'll put podcasts up here. I do love me some podcasts. This is basically what are the things that I put my time towards. Booktube. Let's add no expressions up there. TV, movies, podcasts, Booktube. Oh, we have to add spirituality up here. So we're just adding some stuff. Growth, personal, spiritual, and intellectual. Surface values, TV, movies, podcasts, Booktube. SFF community. Yeah. What other surface values do I have? I try to live a very simplistic life. Oh, I need to put that up there. Structural values. Simple living. Okay. Surface values. Music. I got learning up here. I guess I'll put learning. Imaginary values. YouTube. Twitter. Social media in general. Twitch TV. Things I waste time on. Worrying about people. It was just about worrying. Controlling. Control. Having control. It's definitely a certain imaginary value. It's like nothing you can control but how you react to things. Surface values. Surface values. Good food. Structural value, I'm going to put a flow state. Flow states where I'm not thinking about stuff. I need those. I find that the reason why some of these imaginary values get in the way of my structural and foundational values is because sometimes the imaginary values will put me into a flow state when I need to find flow states to get into by doing these things. So yes, that's actually very important. Imaginary value. Too much structure. Sometimes I just have too much structure going on. What else do I spend my time on? I go to work. I go to school. Those things are pretty much covered in my structural values though. What about those things? Alright, we'll put caring what other people, caring what other people think. No. That should be an imaginary value. I should not care so much what people think. Caring too much what others think of you. Surface value, hiking / nature. I mean, working out falls into the health part, so it's really important. Imaginary values. I'm gonna add discipline under self-control. Surface values. So, like, here's the thing. A lot of these things could be moved into imaginary values as well. I think of only the things that I really need in my life out of the surface values. I don't believe that I need to watch television or watch movies. I don't believe I have to. Actually, none of these things are necessary. I mean, that's why they're in surface values. But they're supposed to add to your life. Like they're the cherry on the top or the sprinkles on top of life. So yeah, that's fine. The way it is fine. Well, you know. Okay, so uncontrolled YouTube. YouTube is important. I follow some people that really add a lot to my life. Twitter, social media, and all that. I only got back on Twitter because I was making different content on this channel here, the streaming channel. And honestly, the only reason why I'm back on Twitter is just so I can share the things I'm doing, because I feel like I was at a huge disadvantage by not having it. But it gives me another outlet of expression if I use it in that way. If I use it in a way that makes it so that I'm always trying to keep up with things, or I'm constantly reading what other people are posting, then it can get very mentally draining for me. Extremely mentally draining. I'm the type of person that when I read something that gets me upset, that it'll bother me for hours after I read it. One thing that's imaginary value, always being correct and correcting others is something that I need to stop doing. I believe in the moment that I'm trying to help when I try to correct other people, or this is mostly a work thing, but 9 times out of 10, a work and family thing mostly, but 9 times out of 10 I don't need to correct other people. They need to just figure it out for themselves. It's not my responsibility to always help everyone all the time, because when you're always helping everyone all the time, you come off as a know-it-all, and you come off as being overbearing, and people don't like that, regardless of my reason why I do it. Surface value, let's put in like animals. I'm gonna put minimalism up here, even though that goes with simple living at the top. Good steward of the earth. I don't know. There's such basic, like, good community member. It's just like, come on. Okay, imaginary values. Twitter, worrying, control. Alright, we're coming up on 50 minutes here. I'm pretty happy with this list. So, foundational values. Health, relationships, growth, contribution, and expression. If I feel like my life is out of whack, it's probably because one of these things is out of whack, and it's like way down, and I'm not focusing on it enough. And then my structural values of the things that are most important to me, character-wise, and how I spend my time, reading, calmness, self-control, discipline, honesty, loyalty, fairness, generosity, exploration, dependable, self-reliance, individualism, openness, solitude, time to reflect, kindness, trustworthy, balance, spirituality, simple living, learning, and flow states. And then my surface values are controlled TV and movies, control usage of podcasts, Booktube, SFF community, music, good food, hiking, nature, animals, minimalism, good steward of the earth. That is such a whatever. Imaginary values, uncontrolled watching of television and movies, controlled YouTube, Twitter, social media, Twitch, worrying, control. Let's put gaming in there too. Even though I'm not addicted to gaming, I have been addicted to gaming. Let's put sweets / ice cream. Yeah, ice cream is not at a good value. Worrying, control, too much structure, caring too much what others think of you, always being correct, correcting others. That's pretty good. If I can get rid of like all those imaginary values in my life and focus on the foundational and structural values, it would be a lot better. Alright, so what do I need to do? Alright, so this is what I've been doing recently that's been throwing things out of kilter. I've been watching a lot of Twitch TV, and I've been watching a lot of Amazon television shows, and I've been on Twitter a lot more, and I've been having too much structure. And so that is what is throwing off my well-being at the moment. So what I need to do is I need to honestly, watching Twitch adds nothing to my life that's beneficial. So I need to just not watch Twitch at all. It's just a way to pass moments. Uncontrolled watching. I need to set up a schedule for watching television and movies. And I need to set up a schedule of watching YouTube. But that then comes back to too much structure. What I should do is, I've been thinking about doing this, having my computer here for schooling and Booktube stuff, and then using either my phone, my laptop, or a tablet as my entertainment things. So those would be where I would watch YouTube, where I would watch like streaming stuff and social media, and only use those things on that device. And that would help me a lot, because right now I'm working at home some, and I'm trying to make more content and going to school and doing all these things, and I'm using the same device. And so when it comes down to actually doing what I need to do, using that same device is probably not the best thing to do. And worrying, I just need to live in the moment. Caring too much what others think of you. Constantly getting better at this, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Okay, always being correct and correcting others is a form of self-discipline and self-control, where I need to think before I speak and wait for people to ask instead of offering my suggestions. Good food. Good food is good. Alright, so let's look at how I should spend my time. I should spend my time focusing on my physical and mental health. I should spend my time focusing on relationships, giving actual time towards those. More personal growth. So I feel like I'm doing those things. Contributing. I feel like I'm doing that. I feel like I'm doing these things, but some of them are a little bit less than what it should be. Like on the video game meter, it should be up to like 50%, but it's down to like 20%, something like that. Structural values, I need to read more. I need to take it easy, not be afraid of not doing anything. I need to explore more. I need to just be more open, be more myself, and live simply. Yeah, I think that's about it. So what can I do from now on that will make a drastic change? That is getting rid of these imaginary values and replacing them with my other values that are more important to me. Alright, well, this was something. I'm not sure what this was, but it was a stream about me figuring out my values. So, I don't know if anyone's even going to watch this or not, but if they do, yeah, that's cool. Alright, I'll see you all later. I'll save this so I have it.